movies for black girl nerds.
Thank you. Hey Andy, how you doing?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing so good. Thank you for joining me. This is such a mind adventure. It's insane. What everybody knows like a good murder mystery could kind of pull you in, but what do you think it is with viewers when it comes to the murder mystery, but you also have multiple love stories going on?
Yeah, I mean, I hope people come for the mystery and then stay for the the love story. I don't know. It's kind of just what I'm attracted to in what I watch. Like I like things that the mystery keeps something alive and keeps pulling you to the very end, but you end up falling in love with the characters and kind of almost like projecting when I project myself onto characters that I'm watching.
Mm.
I kind of form this emotional attachment. But I don't know. That's maybe that's an answer to that question. I don't know.
No, yeah, no. I mean, it's great. Like you can tell, there's this attachment to the characters and the way they go throughout their journey, the way their personalities form it. Like if you take somebody like Alex, for instance, I'm so curious, what you wanted to point out about mental health because he's not treated like there's a problem. Without giving too much away, some of the stuff that he goes through is not treated like, okay, this is a guy that is in charge of other people and there's something seriously wrong. It's treated more of like I need like a mystery sort of. And I'm curious what you wanted to say with that. Like, why did you make that decision?
I mean, I kind of feel like the character is kind of just born out of the concept of the show and what the things the show is kind of exploring about, or at least trying to explore about like time and there's this the question of like what is the disappointment of time, and it's
Mm,
in a very literal sense in the story in the show it's a book that was written that we it opens with a quote from it, and then we find out more and more what that book is about as it goes. But it's also like I think depending on where anyone is at in their life, uh, they can they have a different question or a different answer to that question. What is the disappointment of time? Like I have like
mhm.
in my mid 30s, I have an idea of what that means to me. But I think each of the characters in the show, I feel like represent a different answer to that question, I guess. And what
Yeah.
happens to ourselves and our bodies and our memories and our lives and our relationships as time progresses and kind of eats away at us. So
And you know what else I feel like kind of like eats away at you in a sense, or is really going to kind of draw in the viewer is your settings, like the backgrounds, the sets for this show. Did you have like a favorite set? Something where you like, okay, this has to go as part of the story. Like I have to show this.
my favorite one is in episode 8. So you'll see that without giving anything away. But I
Yeah.
definitely it's we start taking some big swings in the back half of the show, and it becomes this different type of adventure show where we basically leave the resort. But I'd say in the first half of the show, we took over one of the resorts we took over was for the Oceana Vista, and our incredible production designer and set deck and our entire like our art department like turned that lobby into like this 2007 like pastel lobby, and then when we, as you saw in episode 3, like they aged it to look like it was torn apart by a hurricane 15 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Like walking through that set and walking through the entire hotel, like what they did to that hotel for something that ultimately is it's 5 minutes of screen time. But I think that's when like that's my favorite things in shows and movies. It's like when you see like something that isn't even on screen that long. Like there's a version where they could have just kind of phoned it in and where we did most of it in VFX, but like that was all like it's all practical. That
Yeah.
lobby is all practical. We didn't have to do any VFX there. And like walking into that, I was like, wow, this is they did an incredible job, and they captured something that whenever it cast or crew walked in there for the first time, uh, so many people said, "Oh, this kind of like this feels like Jurassic Park," and I was like, "Okay, that's great," because I that's my favorite movie of all time, and if we can get that feeling, and even though you don't even in Jurassic Park, you don't see an there is no abandoned hotel or abandoned anything there, but just to
Yeah.
get the feeling that that's what is reminding them of it, it's like uh, that was second to the set that's in the very end, the last episode. That's my favorite set there.
Yeah, this is one of the rare shows where you feel like the setting is a character as well. And it was so much fun to kind of check this out. And I can't wait to see where it ends. Andy, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so much. Thanks so much. Great talking.
How you guys doing? Man, this is extreme couple counseling. Thank you guys for talking with me. I gotta start off with, did you guys have razors back in the day? Like, do you remember the color and everything?
I had a Nokia, the one you could play Snake on.
Oh,
I don't think
okay.
I ever made it. I don't know if I made it to a razor, but I must have had something that could flip at some point. And then I had like a BlackBerry for years.
Yeah, BlackBerry. Yep.
And then somehow iPhone was suddenly around. But I do remember very specifically, like someone showing me an iPhone at a bar and being like, "Can you believe this?" And I was like, "Man, that'll never catch on." And then it's like everywhere.
Yeah, it just killed me. You guys having to go through like each text. I was like, what? Where's the smartphone out here? But William, I wanted to ask you, like, is it actually an 8 hours kind of sleep thing, or is Noah just that cool?
I think Noah is just tired. I think he's tired. He's tired all the time. I think that is 100% true coming out of his mouth. It's like, you're just tired. And I think that Noah's tired. Full stop.
Man, well, I thought he was just cool, but I'll go with it. We all do need our 8 hours, so I'll go with it. Cristin, what do you think is Emma's motivation? Because she went hardcore, and I was very surprised by it. What was her motivation?
I think her motivation is to be, at the beginning, is to be like anywhere but with her own thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
And like with her own disappointment or just like with herself and with this marriage that has seen better times. Like, I think her motivation is that like something makes her feel alive for the first time. She doesn't totally understand why, and she will do anything to just not feel this like numbness and tiredness that she's been feeling for years, I think.
I mean, this is one way to do it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
William,
yeah.
How do you survive being a detective? Because I feel like William was ready with the tips. Like, if you paid attention, every time they entered a scenario, like entered a room, he was giving you how to survive. So like, what's your like number one tip?
Oh, I mean, look, like William, I don't know how to survive anything. I hope that someone who is a survivalist, if everything goes to pot, then, they'll just allow me to come along and maybe crack a few jokes, just to boost them out.
Yeah, I'll be like, I'll dance for your post-apocalyptic parties.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but I don't know anything about survival. I'm solved. So, but I think that Noah's thing though is that he's hyper cautious. And we're in a different country. We don't know what we're doing. And so it's just sort of like, well, I'm going to go along with this, but we're going to tread lightly as much as we can. So I think he's just looking on the internet about how to survive going and looking for missing folks on an abandoned resort, and just sort of typing in those exact keywords and seeing what comes back.
I'm curious, you guys, for both of you, for the environment, the setting, what was that like as actors? So was there a lot for you guys to play with on set to kind of go into? Because it looked like you were on like if there was a detective novel or like one of those detective dinners, it looked like you were dropped in the middle of it.
I mean, that set for the abandoned resort.
Yeah.
That was one of the coolest sets I've ever been on. That was like an actual Ritz-Carlton in San Juan that had been damaged in Hurricane Maria. And then for the 2007 storyline, they restored it to like full glory. And then for our storyline, they added all the debris, and like our production designer, Brett, was like, everything they did, and like details that I couldn't believe. I kept finding day after day, just like pieces of mattress and like mold and weird like ferns and vines growing through everything, and like dead iguanas and old Christmas tree ornaments that were like things that you wouldn't even see on camera necessarily, that I just had never been on a set like that. It was so cool. It was like being on a Disney ride or something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was very helpful.
It did feel like most of the time when you're shooting something like that, you get one little piece of it. You get a corner.
Yeah.
And then there's like a bunch of other green screen stuff. And so you're having to like really make it up. But when we were walking into that set, it was, I mean, it literally, I was like, wait, is this the natural state of this hotel at this moment? You know, it was like,
Yeah,
it felt very real. So, you know, like,
And it was all lit with our flashlights too.
Yeah.
So like when we would film those things, like a lot of times it was just us lighting it, which was also like really, it was just so cool.
Yeah.
well, thank you guys so much. It's amazing. It looks cool. Your energy is amazing in this. I cannot wait to see where the journey goes, where it ends. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you.
Hi.
I love the hair. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks.
Listen, are you now scared to go to like any resorts now? Because this was intense.
Just a tad bit, just a little bit. You know, yeah. I'm not really a resort person. Anyways, so yeah, I feel like resorts in life, they're just always a little scary.
Right. You guys have me looking over my shoulder now after the show.
Totally.
But you know, I want to start with what I thought was so cool about your character, about Violet, was she's talking about dealing with loss.
Yeah.
When you're lost yourself.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious, like when you first heard you were playing this character, how did you approach that? Like mentally, how do you approach something like that?
Yeah. I mean, Violet, by some like universal thing, I was dealing with the same thing Violet is dealing with, where I lost my father less than a year ago. And this audition kind of came in literally a month after I lost my dad. And I was in the same place of, you know, now what? Like when you lose a parent that young, it's really confusing because you're already going through transitional time. And so it felt almost like blessed to be given her, because I was able to kind of grieve through her and let her grieve through me. And kind of, we grieved in different ways, but gaining empathy for how other people grieve through that was, yeah, it was great. It was wild, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your dad, but that's unbelievable to be able to see you to channel that. And you can feel that on screen because Violet is just so in her head. A lot of the stuff you're doing is just, we're just looking at your face. We're looking at your facial expressions because there's not a lot, you know, she can say in some instances.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think a lot of people think grief is, you know, a lot of crying, a lot of whatever, but a lot of it is numbness. And a lot of it is, it's hard to talk about. And I think Violet's dealing with her dad. And I think Sam's grieving in a different way for a relationship that's not working. And I think they find each other and they don't discuss really what's happening in their lives at depth, but you can definitely feel that that something's happening.
Mm-hmm. Was there any to kind of switch it up here a little bit? Was there any character that you could kind of tease? Like, I know you can't give us too much. Was there somebody that you wanted to work with that you didn't get to, like a character you thought would have been cool?
So many. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Michael Hitchcock, so like, I would have loved to like do something with him. But
yeah,
even like, I don't know. I just hearing stories on set with like Cristin and Will and like what their days were like sounded so a fly on the wall. And then I honestly, incredible cast. Mm-hmm. And every single person who's like in the other timelines, like I would have wanted to work with each one like separately in any time, any day. We really lucked out with our cast and how we all feel about each other. There's not like one bad egg. Everyone's great and so talented, and I want to work with every single one for the rest of my life.
You know, I could have seen Violet and Emma like doing something like really cool together. Like their energies were very similar.
Yeah. I love Cristin. Even when I was in high school, Cristin was always like on my list of like people to watch. And oddly, I would do a play in high school and play a character that Cristin would play on Broadway. Like it was really weird, but yeah. So we are in our lives, we would marry each other too.
I like that. I like that. So what, to kind of wrap my last question here, and I'm gonna kind of ask this in a sneaky way because I don't want to give it away because this scene shocked me, but is the super glue true or not true? Like, is that actually a thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I was Googling, to prepare for that, I was Googling some gross things on YouTube. Okay, cool.
So
yeah.
Well, I can't wait. Okay, I can't wait for the viewers to go see what we're actually talking about because I had to ask that. I was like, I couldn't believe that was a thing.
I know, wild. You'd think it'd be unsanitary, but no. Well, the way
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was so much fun talking to you, Nina. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you as well.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Good to see you.
Thank you for chatting with me today. Louise, I want to kind of start with you because it's one thing to like kind of follow a mystery, right? But it's another whole other thing together to be the mystery. So how, like, I'm curious to how you kind of dived into that, and was it like a lot of ducking and diving around set?
Yeah, I mean, it was tricky. It was tricky to be, we have the mission of sending all these clues to the audience, like misleading all the time. But all those clues at the end of the day, they need to make sense, on who this guy is. And as you said, my character and also Gabby's, Luna and Baltasar, are the keepers of all these secrets and all these answers of what happened in this resort 15 years ago in the golden days of this resort, right? So as you said, it's they know all the answers and they know all the secrets, but at the same time, they need to play with the imagination and the mind of the audience, as this show does. I think the interesting thing about this show is like you never really know what's happening and what kind of show this is. It's mutating all the time. It's transforming all the time in a different thing. And that's the reason you can keep watching, no?
Yeah. Your character was so fascinating because I was like, I don't know if I like him. But then I was like, oh, well, no, let me go back. Now I'm changing my mind again. Speaking of which, Gabriela, I wanted to know, like, why did Luna stay? Because I felt like at a certain point, like they were just kind of trying to hunt her down and dig her for information and everything. And I was curious, why do you think she stayed at the resort?
Well, because it's her place, at the end of the day, that's the way it's her home. She doesn't really have at that time in 2007, she doesn't really have a family. She doesn't have a good relationship with her family. So her family really is at the hotel, and her best friend is Baltasar. So when you're in a good place, you don't want to leave. That's when you have your home, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And for you two, both of you guys, the chemistry is so cool. Like, it's gotta be to have sit on the couch and then have a fart and still sit there and laugh about it. So it's gotta be it's gotta be pretty cool. How did you guys work on that chemistry? And Louise, a little bit to you, why do you think Baltasar leans so heavily on Luna?
I think for us it was pretty easy because we're both Mexicans and we are the Mexicans in the American show shooting in Puerto Rico. So you suddenly become like a team, and we went to the same acting school, so we have like a common language, in terms of acting and working. Baltasar and Luna, it's pretty interesting. I love that about relationships, like when you share the golden days of your life with someone, you want that people to stay with you forever, because it's a reminder of the good times, of all the crazy, beautiful moments we lived together, all those crazy parties, all those first experiences with everything, with drugs, people, party, fun, disappointment, pain, it's like going to the war with someone, like you're tied forever. And that's what happens with Luna and Baltasar. They live those beautiful moments in the resort, and then this horrible thing happens, and now they have this second chance to solve this mystery with these crazy American tourists that have no idea of what's going on. So it's a good opportunity to experience that bonding again.
Mm-hmm. And I want to kind of wrap with this question because you guys got some serious dance moves. So I'm curious, like for Louise and Gabriela, like what's at the top of the playlist if we're going to a dance party?
Oh my God, that's a tricky question. Go, Gabby. I'll check my Spotify right now.
No.
Okay, I found it.
Okay.
there's a song that is called "Running Up That Hill" from Kate Bush. That is one of my favorite songs for dancing. You can Google it. You're gonna love it.
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, it depends on what mood I am in and in what stage I am in. Because I remember back in 2000, let's say 6, I remember when I went to a pop club and Shakira's song La Tortura came on. I was like, I'm in that floor, you know?
Yeah. We were shooting this show for 4 months in Puerto Rico, which probably someone doesn't know is like the home of reggaeton. So we spent 4 months listening to Bad Bunny and those guys. Yeah, so we learned some serious moves from Puerto Rican people, and I think we're good at it now.
Oh yeah, you guys are definitely good at it. You're good at this show. You're good at keeping us moving. The action is drawing us in. So I can't wait. I only see 4 episodes, and I cannot wait to see how this mystery ends. You guys did fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
See ya.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.